I mean, Terence Crawford has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really special.
Nothing to do, but damn, like, what else do you got to do? He's a 3-time undisputed champion.
Looking small. What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small. Like, it's just that, like, you got to really hurt that dude to turn him away and to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So, skillful, yes. But this and this.
Many fighters hesitate to step in with Terence Crawford, and for good reason. Roy Jones Jr. even pointed out that during the face-off, Canelo himself looked uneasy standing across from him. What makes Crawford so intimidating isn't just his technical ability, but the way he remains ice cold while analyzing every move. He's almost never caught clean, and when opponents slip up, he capitalizes with flawless timing, making them feel as a victory is impossible.
When I told you either he's not ready for this or he trying to little boy Bud, he wasn't trying to little boy Bud. He really was afraid, well, not afraid, but he was worried about Bud, and Bud knew that. And Bud being the older guy, Bud kind of looked him in his eye and made him turn away first. That was a victory for Bud. That was Bud's first victory. Anytime that happens, if something else don't come around or something else don't happen to undo that, you got a problem.
Paulie Malignaggi broke down just how incredible Terence Crawford's legacy has become. Crawford has achieved the rare feat of becoming an undisputed champion in 3 different divisions, something almost unheard of in today's boxing world. And he didn't get there by chasing easy fights. He consistently took on the best. What stood out most to Paulie wasn't just the victories, but how Crawford controlled fights while barely taking clean shots. His resume says it all. 41 wins, 31 by knockout, and still undefeated. Malignaggi called this run historic and emphasized that Crawford's win over Canelo was more than just another notch on his record. It felt like the dawn of a new era. Just as Mayweather once ruled his generation, Paulie believes Crawford has now taken that mantle as the face of this era.
Flawless. I mean, Terence Crawford has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really special. It's one of those things now, because now I've now seen back-to-back generations of Floyd Mayweather and Bud Crawford, and man, you know, it's one of those things where now I understand why the people that lived in the Ray Leonard era say, you know, oh, wish we could see Ray Leonard against Mayweather, and how that would be. Because it just leaves such an empty feeling when you have such special fighters that were in different generations, and you saw both of them. You know, I saw the entirety of the Mayweather generation. I saw the entirety of the Bud Crawford generation. Just incredible. Really, really incredible. And I know Mayweather gets a lot of hate, but for me, he's a tremendous, tremendous fighter. And Terence Bud Crawford is in that realm as well. And it's a fight we'll never get to see. So what are we going to do? You know, it'll be up to the fantasy fights, you know, but let's get into it, man. I want to get into the undercard as well and some of my thoughts on the Netflix show. But let's get into the main event first. Crawford really boxed very, very well, very, very intelligently. The question mark was what happens when Crawford gets hit cleanly. I'm not sure he got hit cleanly the whole fight. You know, he got hit with some partial shots. Some shots landed cleanly, but by the time Canelo started landing anything cleanly, I think he was hesitant because he was getting countered so much that he was taking some of the steam off the shots in order to hope to be more accurate. Because even late in the fight, there were a couple of shots that Canelo landed, but they barely moved.
Brian described watching Terence Crawford against Canelo as something truly extraordinary. He explained that in most cases, fighters lean heavily on either defense or offense, often leaving gaps in their game. Crawford, however, struck a rare balance, showing sharp defensive awareness while unleashing precise offense whenever the opening appeared. Against Canelo, he wasn't just blocking and slipping shots. He was instantly turning defense into attack, making every mistake costly. Brian emphasized that this is what separates Crawford from so many other champions: his ability to completely shut down an opponent's weapons while steadily building his own momentum. To him, it wasn't just impressive, it was remarkable to see a fighter not only stay untouched, but also dominate a world-class opponent with such poise and mastery.
I think that for me, I watch defense as much as I watch offense. So, yeah, like I thought, like watching Bud catch those shots off his glove.
He looked amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah. He'd go to a body and he'd catch that and come up with an uppercut. You know, just all those things that seem.
He looked great.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody do that to ever.
No one has. Yeah, he's the best.
Canelo. Ever.
Yeah, he's the best.
And I think he would do that to Canelo on his best day. And Canelo said it. He goes, I couldn't figure him out.
No.
Which is why he probably won't fight him again. In a way.
They'll fight again.
You think so?
The payday. Yeah. But so you're gonna get Canelo because the money's in Canelo Crawford, the rematch. I don't want to see it, but I want Crawford to get paid, so might as well do it.
Andre Ward had nothing but high praise for Terence Crawford, labeling him the most skilled fighter of his generation. Ward, who was known as one of the sharpest technicians of his own era, pointed out Crawford's mindset. If Terence decides on a goal, he'll stop at nothing to achieve it. In Ward's eyes, the only way to derail Crawford is to genuinely hurt him inside the ring, because no amount of clever tactics will ever be enough. His adaptability, smooth stance switches, and ability to stay calm under fire put him in a rare class of fighters who can bend a fight to their will. Ward's words underline that Crawford's dominance isn't luck. It's the result of grit, discipline, and an unshakable drive to conquer every challenge.
Like, I can bet the house on is Bud.
Who's the most skilled fighter today?
Bud is definitely one of them, for sure. Me and him, we so much alike in our mentality. Like, soon as I see this dude, he come in the room or I come in the room, we start arguing about basketball, wrestling, anything, bro. Like, man, you can't, man, you looking small. What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small. Like, it's just that, like, you gotta really hurt that dude to turn him away and to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So skillful, yes, but this and this, it's different.
Terence Crawford's journey has always been deeply personal, shaped by the influence of his family. He often recalls how his father predicted that he would one day become an undisputed champion, planting that belief in him from a young age. His mother, on the other hand, was skeptical, never fully convinced he would reach the top, but rather than discouraging him, her doubt became his motivation. Every time Crawford stepped into the ring, he carried a drive to prove her wrong. With each victory and every championship belt, he not only fulfilled his father's vision, but also earned his mother's pride. Looking back now, Crawford takes satisfaction in knowing his success brought both validation and respect from the people who matter most.
I used to tell my mom I was going to be a world champ.
I told him,
How'd that make you feel? It filled me with rage. And every time I stepped foot in the ring or anything that I ever did, I just wanted to win so bad so I can prove a point to her.
I paid the kids, I said, if y'all can whoop Bud, I give y'all $10 a piece. Couldn't none whoop him.
You went out on the street.
Yeah.
What's now Bud Crawford Street.
Yeah.
And offered $10 to anyone who can kick my son's butt.
Yep.
And a lot of takers.
Yeah, the kids in the neighborhood. Couldn't nobody whoop them.
What did he tell you then?
He told you, Mom, I told you I'm the best.
Reflecting on his career choices, Terence Crawford revealed that he never chased undisputed status at 154 pounds because he didn't see enough competitive fights in that division. For him, being undisputed isn't just about stacking belts. It's about doing it against the very best opponents available. That's why, instead of settling at 154, Crawford made the bold decision to move up to 168, where the challenges are greater and the names carry more weight. His refusal to move down shows his belief in testing himself at the highest level, proving that his career is built on ambition and risk-taking, not on comfort or easy wins.
Has being undisputed at 154 ever crossed your mind at this point that you're at in your career?
Not at all, because I'm looking at the landscape of the 154-pound division. There's a lot of great fighters, but there's not a lot of defining fights at 154. There's not a lot of legacy fights at 154. You know, when I'm looking at the landscape of 154, I beat, what's his name?
Majimov? No, 154?
No. The champion that just knocked out Tim Tszyu.
Oh, Bachram. Yeah.
Okay, so Bachram, they're going to say, who is Bachram?
Facts.
He knocked out Tim Tszyu that already had losses.
I would put you down with Fedora, though. They're going
Without Fedora already been knocked out.
Yeah, he did that. Yeah,
so, along my career, I've been criticized and people have taken credit away from me just to try to diminish my accomplishments just off of pure hate.
Crawford has also taken time to showcase the belts he's earned, not as empty bragging, but as a testament to years of sacrifice and relentless dedication. To him, each title represents more than a win. It carries the weight of struggles, doubts, and battles he had to overcome. Standing with those belts is his way of reminding fans and critics alike that nothing came easy. Every piece of gold was fought for. They symbolize discipline, resilience, and unwavering belief in his own ability, while also inspiring the next generation of fighters to chase greatness with the same determination.
I'm just reflecting on all my accomplishments at my mama house. That's where all my belts at. You know, hard work, dedication. Things that y'all favorite fighters, some of them, don't got. So I see why y'all mad. See why y'all mad. Ooh, look at that one right there. This where it all started at. Right here. This one. In Texas. In Texas, baby. Don't hate. Just congratulate.
Virgil Ortiz Jr., a rising star in his own right, gave Crawford immense credit for his most recent performance, calling it absolutely beautiful. Ortiz explained that Crawford has already proven everything he needs to and doesn't have to chase any more opponents to validate his greatness. In his view, Crawford's legacy is secure. Hearing such admiration from a young, ambitious fighter highlights the depth of Crawford's impact. His dominance has not only defined this era, but has also left the next generation in awe of what he's already achieved.
Actually, he neutralized all of Canelo's strengths. He knew that he was going to look for the right hook, because I believe that they've been looking at Crawford being hurt by that right hook before. So he neutralized it. He used his jab really well. He boxed beautifully. And, man, I mean, he did everything right. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Crawford first, because obviously we can get to Canelo later, but in the post-fight, they asked him, a media member asked him if he'd come back down to 154 to fight Boots. Obviously, in the same token, I took it as, all right, Boots or Virgil, right? And he said he's not coming back down to 154. What are your thoughts on him not coming down, and what do you think he will more than likely do next?
I don't know what he's gonna do. I did read something that said he'll go down to 160, you know? And I think that is definitely a possibility, and you know, that fight can still happen at 160. And as far as what he's gonna do now, I mean, I don't know. He kind of beat the final boss of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's kind of nothing. I don't want to say there's nothing to do, but damn, like, I mean, what else do you got to do? He's a 3-time undisputed champion. He made some good money. At this point, he's just a free player right now. I guess he can do whatever he wants.
Crawford's influence on boxing has created a ripple effect, with fighters across divisions eager to call him out. Sebastian Fundora, known for his towering frame and relentless style, has already voiced his desire to face Crawford. This has been dubbed the Crawford effect, when a fighter becomes so dominant that others line up to test themselves against him in hopes of gaining credibility. Rather than chasing opponents, Crawford now finds challengers coming to him, a clear sign of the power and influence he holds in today's boxing world.
Effect is in full effect. Okay? It's in full effect. Terence Crawford now is a wanted man. Prior to that, everybody said Terence Crawford is not a draw. Terence Crawford can't sell. Terence Crawford is not a big money fight. Now, we have an interesting situation brewing. The former unified WBA, well, WBO, WBC, junior middleweight world champion, Mexican superstar or star boxer, the towering inferno, Sebastian Fundora, refused to fight Terence Bud Crawford, who is now, no doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt, the pound for pound king, 4-division world champion. 5-division world champion, 3-division undisputed world champion, with a record of 42 wins, no loss, no draw, 31 wins by way of knockout. When Terence Crawford dominated and stopped The Truth, Errol Spence Jr., in July of 2023, Terence Crawford petitioned to move up and fight the Towering Inferno, Sebastian Fundora. Okay? And Sebastian Fundora has zero interest.
Oshaki Foster admitted he was surprised by how completely Crawford silenced the doubts that had followed him for years. Critics often claimed he hadn't faced enough top-tier opponents or questioned how he performed against elite competition. But his recent victories, especially over Canelo, proved he could dominate even the most established champions. Foster acknowledged that Crawford didn't just erase those doubts. He set a new standard by thriving under the brightest lights. To him, Crawford's journey is a powerful example of persistence, turning skepticism into undeniable respect.
They definitely doubted, bro, and he told me months ago that he was gonna do that, and he went and did that. That shit, you know what I mean? And they doubted him a lot throughout his career, you know what I mean? Just a lot, and just a lot of people that I look at that's great fighters. They've been doubted, you know what I mean? Same thing with Floyd. Floyd, they had the Oscar De La Hoyas, the Shane Mosleys, the Trinidad. They all was putting them above Floyd and all this woo-de-woo. You know what I mean? So I just feel like getting doubted is a great thing. It gives me, you know what I mean, that push. So, yeah.
You think it would look that, I ain't gonna call it easy, but I felt like people didn't think that Crawford could do it that clean. Did that surprise you?
No. It did surprise me that he stayed more disciplined. Like, I thought what was gonna happen was he was gonna do what he was doing, and then, you know, Terence got hard. He trying to bang it out, especially if he feel played enough. He feel like you feel like you doing something, he gonna come with it tough. So I thought that was gonna be a problem. Like if Canelo landed a punch, he would try to go in the trenches with Canelo. And that's what I would have been scared for him for. But man, that boy stayed sharp all night, man. That boy looked good, man. I can't lie. He looked good. Sure. I was definitely surprised at how smooth, how easy.
Blair Cobbs and Conor Benn shared powerful reactions to Crawford's triumph over Canelo. Cobbs called the victory a defining moment in boxing history, while Benn suggested that Crawford could even consider retiring now, leaving the sport on such a perfect high note. His comment wasn't criticism, but rather recognition of how complete Crawford's career already appears. In Benn's view, Crawford has nothing left to prove. He could walk away today and still be remembered as one of the greatest of all time. Their words captured a growing belief that Crawford's legacy is already secured, no matter what comes next.
That beautiful sunset and retire. He's done a lot for the sport, and there's really not too much else that he can possibly do in the sport of boxing outside of make a beautiful retirement and leave a legacy of fighters that aspire to be just as great as Terence Crawford, like myself.
Has Canelo's legacy been damaged after that or not?
Not really. I think that Canelo is still a terrific and a fantastic athlete that's spent a little bit too much time at the table of boxing, and right now is his time to make his exit.
Not everyone buys into the idea of Crawford being untouchable. While his win over Canelo was historic, some analysts caution that it doesn't make him invincible. Boxing is stacked with world-class talent, and under the right circumstances, even Crawford could be outshined. His dominance is undeniable, but the sport's unpredictability means fresh challenges are always around the corner. This viewpoint reminds us that Crawford may have reached incredible heights, but the debate over his true place in history is far from settled.
Goes back down there, he's the best guy in that division. I think it's safe to say that. But I do think that a lot of those guys will be very interesting and potentially difficult style matchups for him. They'll be more difficult than a Canelo fight. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but just go and look at the fight with Madrimov if you don't believe me. Long story short, beating Canelo Alvarez doesn't mean that Crawford is unstoppable or unbeatable. Yes, he's one of the best fighters of this division, one of the best fighters ever with his achievements, but it doesn't mean he won't lose before the end if he fights the wrong guy. At the very least, it doesn't mean he won't have a harder fight than that Canelo fight. And to finish this video, do I think that he's better than Floyd Mayweather? Do I think now that he would beat Floyd Mayweather if they were to compete at 147? Well, I think Crawford at 147 is the best Terence Crawford in terms of his attributes, his style, and the strength and power he has at the weight. I think he's probably unbeatable at 147 in this era. It's because he's going up the weight style we're even having this conversation, to be honest with you. But I do think he's an all-time great. I do think he's in the conversation, which is the best you can do, because we can't definitively say who beats who in a fantasy match. That's why I really don't like them. I've been asked a few of them recently, and I just, without studying and then without actually getting the chance to see it, I just don't really like going there. But we'll do it at the end of this video anyway. It's definitely a conversation to have whether or not he's better than Floyd Mayweather, because he's done it without these rehydration clauses. He's done it. He hasn't really cherry-picked, although I would say, to be fair, look at Crawford's record. He has fought a lot of guys where it's been the very end of their career at welter. You know, Sean Porter, Amir Khan, Kell Brook. They're all great names, but none of them were in their prime anymore. But Crawford did it so emphatically in the way he beat Errol Spence as well. Again, he'd had his issues, but again, the way he did it so emphatically, the way he passes the eye test every single time, you have to assume that he's going to do it no matter who he's facing. I do think a fight between him and Mayweather would have been very, very difficult to call.
Interview 12. Not everyone buys into the idea of Crawford being untouchable. While his win over Canelo was historic, some analysts caution